film lovers and ASMR friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari. I'm an independent filmmaker and film enthusiast, and today we'll be talking about the movies. So the topic for today's video is best films of the 2020s decade. There's been a lot of good movies this decade so far, and I felt like talking about the ones that are my favorites up to this point in 2024. There are still some movies from this year that I haven't seen yet, but I'd like to talk about 5 movies that I have seen from this decade that I love and that I'd like to recommend for you today. So counting down from number 5 down to number 1. So let's start with number 5. Okay, so number 5 on my list is The Killer. The Killer by director David Fincher. Let's read the synopsis from IMDb. A man solitary and cold, methodical and uncumbered by scruples or regrets, the killer waits in the shadows, watching for his next target. And yet the longer he waits, the more he thinks he's losing his mind, if not his cool. A brutal, bloody, and stylish noir story of a professional assassin lost in a world without a moral compass. This is a case study of a man alone, armed to the teeth, and slowly losing his mind. That's not a really good description of The Killer by David Fincher. This is a hard movie to describe, actually, because the film has no plot. It has no character arc. It has no themes, really. It's a very straightforward film about a guy who's on a revenge tour. And it's more about the process of him finding people and executing people along the way. This is a very underrated film in the David Fincher catalog. He's obviously very well known for films like Seven, The Social Network, and his signature film Fight Club, among others. But this is probably one of his most underrated movies, kind of like The Game. The Game is a very underrated movie in the Fincher catalog, and so is The Killer. The Killer is, like I said, the film has very little plot development or character development. It is a movie where the guy, the main character, is one way, and he tells you he's one way. He narrates the film with very dry humor, I might add, and he doesn't change. He doesn't change at all, actually. And if that kind of thing bothers you, if you're looking for a movie where you want a big arc, or you want to learn something about a character, or you want to learn something that will enrich your life in some way, this is not that movie. But what I love about the movie is how cold and calculated it is. It's a very unique film. It has technical brilliance. David Fincher is a very meticulous filmmaker, and the technical brilliance on display in The Killer is absolutely amazing. The cinematography, the shot selection, the editing, the rhythm of the movie, it's almost, it's very bare, and it's very bare, but it's very intense at the same time. Again, the character just finds people and executes them. That's the entire movie. He just finds a person, hunts them down, and executes them. And it just goes like this. It's very repetitive, but it's thrilling at the same time. It's repetitive. There's a fight scene in this film that's one of the most intense sequences David Fincher has ever filmed. I think it's really great. The Killer is on Netflix. You can watch it right now. You can stream it. It's on Netflix. It is one of his most underrated films. It's a very interesting movie, one of the most fascinating movies of this decade so far. The Killer by David Fincher. Okay, so the next movie on my list is Perfect Days by Wim Wenders. Let's read the synopsis from IMDb. Hirayama works as a toilet cleaner in Tokyo. He seems content with his simple life. He follows a structured everyday life and dedicates his free time to his passion for music and books. Hirayama also has a fondness for trees and photographs them. More of his past is gradually revealed through a series of unexpected encounters. So, this movie is very, very interesting. It is all about the routine of the main character. He wakes up, he brushes his teeth, he goes to work, he cleans toilets, he goes home, he goes to a restaurant, he eats dinner, etc., etc. It's very much about routine and the quiet little joys in life that you have along the way. He photographs trees when he's on his break. It's just a very subtle film that's very delicate and very interesting. It's like almost like a documentary. You're just watching the daily life of this guy. He has dreams at night, and you see his dreams. It's just a portrait of a man living his life at an old age, where he's content with his routine. The main character, Hirayama, he doesn't speak for about 45 minutes in the film. The film is almost a silent film for the first 45 minutes. You barely hear a word of dialogue. This is the very definition of less is more. And I love that about the film. Wim Wenders is a great director. He's obviously known for Paris, Texas, and Wings of Desire, and Until the End of the World. All of these films are on the Criterion Collection, actually, and I think Perfect Days is on the Criterion Collection as well. Um, but those films are filled with dialogue, and he's a great storyteller. He's a great storyteller about the human condition, and Perfect Days is about the human condition, but just done in a very silent, subtle way. Like I said, it's about celebrating the joys of life. It's a drama. There's a part in the movie where someone visits him from his family and his routine is upended, and then basically from there on the movie gradually becomes more interesting as new characters reveal themselves. Um, but for the most part, the film is all about the routine of the main character, and it's very, very, very subtle. Like I said, it's all about less is more, and the movie gradually builds on you, it works on you, and by the end of the movie, it's very moving. There's a shot at the end of the movie where all of this emotion is on his face, and there's not a word of dialogue. It's very, very interesting. It says so much with so little, and it is one of the best films of the decade. Perfect Days is available on the Criterion Collection, I'm pretty sure. If not, you can stream it. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's a really, really interesting film. I highly recommend this film. I can't stress enough how great it is. Perfect Days by Wim Wenders. Go check it out. Okay, the next film on the list, number 3, is The Batman. The Batman by director Matt Reeves. Let's read the synopsis. 2 years of nights have turned Bruce Wayne into a nocturnal animal, but as he continues to find his way as Gotham's Dark Knight, Bruce is forced into a game of cat and mouse with his biggest threat so far, a manic killer known as the Riddler, who is filled with rage and determined to expose the corrupt system while picking off all of Gotham's key political figures. Working with both established and new allies, Bruce must track down the killer and see him brought to justice, while investigating his father's true legacy and questioning the effects that he has had on Gotham so far as the Batman. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a hot take. The Batman is absolutely, positively the best Batman movie there is. It is better than The Dark Knight. It's better than The Dark Knight Rises. It's better than the Tim Burton Batman films. It is the signature Batman film of all time. It is a work of tremendous pop entertainment. It is one of the most intense and gritty mainstream films I've seen in the last 25 years. Everything you could want in a Batman film. It is the best adaptation of the Batman comic books. It is absolutely excellent in every way, shape, and form. This film is really, really, really strong, and I was very surprised and very impressed by this movie because of how strong it is. First and foremost, the world building in this film. Gotham has never looked so intense. It is dark, it's gritty, it's dirty, it's nasty. It's also very colorful at the same time. Gotham is full of character in this film, almost like a character unto itself. The ensemble cast in this film is terrific. All of the actors are tremendous in the Batman. They all do their jobs. I particularly like Colin Farrell as the Penguin. He's tremendous. The ensemble cast is excellent. I mean, really, the ensemble cast is excellent. Everybody does their job. It's a very intensely acted film, which I love. The actors take the film very seriously, and the film takes itself very seriously. There's not a lot of comedic relief in the film, which I love about it. It's a very intense film. It's a very self-serious movie. The Christopher Nolan Batman films are also very serious, but this is even more so. And it's darker and more mysterious than those films as well. The score in this film is iconic. The cinematography is amazing. The chase sequence in the rain is one of the coolest action set pieces I've seen in many, many years. The Batman is an extraordinary film. It is mainstream entertainment done at its best, at its highest level. I can't tell you how much I love this movie. I saw it 3 times in theaters when it came out. I've watched it a bunch of times on HBO Max. I think you can stream it on HBO Max or Prime. The Batman is one of the best movies of the 2020's decade. Check this out. I'm not even a big comic book fan. I'm not the biggest comic book fan, honestly. I don't watch the Marvel movies. I kind of got tired of them. But I do like some of the DC films, and I particularly like the Batman as a character. This was done right. This was done well. This is an excellent film. This is one of the best mainstream films that have come out in the 2020s, only to be topped by the next film on the list, which is blockbuster cinema at its finest. So let's get into the next film, number 2 on the list. Okay, so number 2 on the list is blockbuster cinema at its absolute peak. This is Avatar: The Way of Water by James Cameron. Let's read the synopsis on IMDb. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home. Okay, so everybody's seen Avatar: The Way of Water. This is popular entertainment done at its peak form. James Cameron is a master at immersive entertainment. He's obviously the director of Terminator 2 and The Terminator and Aliens and The Abyss. Titanic, of course. He knows how to do massive entertainment at its highest form. And Avatar is one of his best films. Avatar 2, I should say. Avatar: The Way of Water is one of his best films, if not his best sequel for sure. I think it might actually be James Cameron's finest work. This was an immersive experience in 3D. You had to have seen it in 3D in theaters. The 3D imagery is stunning in this film. This is CGI done right. I'm not a huge fan of the overuse of CGI in movies, but Avatar: The Way of Water uses CGI in ways that are absolutely mind-blowing. The motion capture animation is incredible. It's seamlessly brought together with the live-action photography. Everything about the film is immersive and huge and epic and beautiful. The film has a lot of heart and soul. The relationship with Payakan the whale, or whatever it is very tender and moving. The film is very daring and gritty for a mainstream release. There are some surprises that happen in this film that you wouldn't typically expect from a PG-13 film that's supposed to be for all ages. It is a little bit violent. It's more violent than I thought it would be, actually. The action sequences in Avatar 2 are absolutely epic. I mean, the whole finale, the whole last 45 minutes of the movie with the ship sinking, James Cameron knows how to sink a ship, and he does it in absolutely epic fashion. I mean, the whole action sequence at the end of the film is absolutely one of the best set pieces you'll see in a film. Like all of the set pieces in the Avatar films. The first Avatar also has incredible set pieces, but Avatar: The Way of Water has even more beautiful set pieces. Again, the CGI is done right. It's incredibly detailed and immersive. James Cameron is a legendary director. He's one of the most popular directors of all time. He makes films that are just entertaining and moving and powerful. This is no exception. Avatar: The Way of Water is a beautiful, epic, immersive entertainment. It is one of the most stunning motion pictures I've seen in the last 10-15 years. It is the second best film of the 2020's for me, so far at least. If you haven't seen it, which you probably have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. It is 3 hours long, but the 3 hours goes by really quickly. It is absolutely stunning. Avatar: The Way of Water, go check it out if you haven't seen it. The second best movie for me. Avatar: The Way of Water, go check it out. So my pick for the number one film of the 2020s decade so far is a film called Monster by director Hirokazu Koreeda. It's a Japanese film. Let me read the synopsis. When her young son Minato starts to behave strangely, his mother feels that there is something wrong. Discovering that a teacher is responsible, she storms into the school demanding to know what's going on. But as the story unfolds through the eyes of mother, teacher, and child, the truth gradually emerges. Okay, so Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda, this Japanese film, is a masterpiece. I'm actually not going to say much about this film other than this is the best film of the decade so far. It is one of the most incredible films you're going to see. It's one of the best films I've seen, not only of this decade, but of the last 2 decades. It is Koreeda's masterpiece. I hope I'm saying his name right, by the way, Koreeda. I don't want to spoil the plot too much because the joy of this movie is letting the story unravel and seeing all the twists and turns that happen. This is a movie about perspective and perception. It's a story about children and the hidden lives that children have and the emotions that take place behind closed doors. Again, I really don't want to say much about this film other than that it is absolutely stunning. It is an absolute masterpiece. And when I say it's a masterpiece, I really mean it's a masterpiece. The writing, the structure, the editing, this film is absolutely perfect filmmaking. Like, if you want an example of what perfect filmmaking is like, Monster is perfect filmmaking. This is a very emotional film. I think you should bring a tissue box because the film gradually works to a very moving finale. It is stunning, it's ambiguous, it's different, it is unusual. This is a film with child actors, and the child actors are incredible in the film. That's all I'm going to say. The child actors do an extraordinary job. The adult actors as well. Monster is as good as a movie can get. This is my highest recommendation. It is my number one film of the 2020s decade so far. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to say much more about it, but you have to watch it. You have to see this movie. It is on Amazon Prime by way of Mubi. You have to watch Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda. This is the film of the decade so far. It is an extraordinary example of filmmaking at its finest. That's all I'm going to say about this film. Monster, go check it out, go watch it, and then we'll talk about it in the comments. Monster is as good as it gets. Highly, highly recommended. I hope you go watch it. Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda. Okay, those are my choices for the best films of the 2020s so far. There's a lot of other movies that are great. Honorable mentions like The Worst Person in the World or Past Lives. Those are great movies as well. I just wanted to get those out there. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.